Sophia Carter had built a life that most people only dreamed about. At 36, she was one of the youngest self-made billionaires in the country. Her technology company had transformed the way hospitals managed emergency care, earning her international recognition, magazine covers, and invitations to exclusive events around the world. Yet despite the glamorous headlines, Sophia's greatest treasure was neither her fortune nor her reputation. It was her 6-year-old daughter, Lily, a cheerful little girl with bright blue eyes, endless curiosity, and a smile that could soften even the hardest hearts. Every weekend Sophia tried to make time for Lily, no matter how demanding her business schedule became. This Saturday, they attended a charity fundraiser at a beautiful lakeside estate. The event supported families of military veterans, bringing together business leaders, politicians, celebrities, and decorated service members. Elegant white tents stretched across the gardens, children laughed near colorful activity booths, and a live orchestra played gentle music beneath the afternoon sun. Sophia wanted Lily to experience kindness and generosity instead of growing up surrounded only by luxury. She held her daughter's hand as they walked through the crowded venue, stopping to donate toys, greet volunteers, and thank veterans for their service. Lily happily carried a small basket filled with handmade thank you cards she had spent the previous evening coloring herself. "You made these all by yourself?" an elderly veteran asked with a warm smile. Lily nodded proudly. "Mommy says heroes deserve to know they're appreciated." The man's eyes became watery as he accepted the card. Sophia smiled quietly, feeling that the trip had already been worthwhile. As the afternoon continued, the crowd grew larger. Reporters gathered around Sophia for interviews while photographers requested pictures. She tried to answer their questions quickly so she could return to Lily, who was happily watching children paint miniature wooden boats at a nearby table. Everything seemed perfect. Then, without warning, a loud crash echoed across the estate. A decorative lighting tower, loosened by an unexpected gust of wind, tipped over onto a display stand. The metal frame struck the ground with a deafening bang. Guests screamed in surprise. Volunteers rushed toward the scene while security guards hurried to clear the area. The accident caused no serious injuries, but the sudden noise frightened many children. Sophia's heart skipped a beat. "Lily," she called. The little girl was gone. Her basket of thank you cards lay abandoned beside the painting table. Panic flooded through Sophia's body. "Lily," she shouted louder, pushing through the crowd. Her security team reacted immediately, spreading across the estate while organizers announced that a child was missing. Guests searched between tents, gardens, and lakeside paths. Sophia's breathing became uneven as terrifying possibilities raced through her mind. She blamed herself instantly. She should never have let reporters distract her. She should have kept holding Lily's hand. Minutes felt like hours. Then one of the guards pointed toward the far side of the garden. "There she is." Sophia turned quickly. Her daughter was running, not toward her, not toward security, but toward a man standing near a quiet corner beside the Veterans Memorial. The stranger wore faded jeans, worn hiking boots, and a plain navy jacket. He looked completely different from the wealthy guests surrounding him. His posture was calm, his expression steady, and there was a quiet confidence about him that couldn't be ignored. Before anyone could react, Lily threw herself into his arms, crying uncontrollably. The man knelt immediately. "It's okay," he said softly. "You're safe." His voice was calm, gentle, and reassuring. Instead of asking questions, he simply let Lily cry while carefully placing one protective arm around her shoulders. He didn't panic. He didn't seem surprised. He simply stayed still, allowing the frightened little girl to feel secure. Sophia reached them moments later, tears filling her own eyes. "Lily." The little girl looked up. "I'm sorry, Mommy," she whispered between sobs. "I got scared." Sophia hugged her tightly before looking at the stranger. Every instinct told her to question him. Why had her daughter trusted a complete stranger? Why had Lily, who normally hid behind her mother whenever unfamiliar people approached, run directly into this man's embrace without hesitation? The stranger slowly stood, giving Sophia enough space while keeping his expression respectful. "I'm glad she's okay," he said. His voice carried the calm authority of someone who had faced real danger before. Sophia studied him carefully. There was no sign of nervousness or excitement, only quiet discipline. For reasons she couldn't explain, something about him felt different from everyone else at the event. Before she could ask another question, a little boy around Lily's age ran toward the man. "Dad," the child called happily. The stranger smiled for the first time. "I'm right here, buddy." Sophia blinked in surprise. The mysterious man wasn't alone. He was a father. And somehow, without anyone understanding why, her frightened daughter had trusted him more than anyone else in the crowded estate. At that moment, Sophia had no idea that meeting this quiet single dad, a former Navy SEAL named Jake Morrison, was about to change all of their lives forever. Sophia held Lily close, her heartbeat finally beginning to slow. The fear that had gripped her moments earlier was replaced by confusion. She looked at the quiet stranger standing before her. His calm expression never changed, even as security officers surrounded them. One of the guards stepped forward. "Ma'am, should we question him?" Before Sophia could answer, Lily quickly shook her head. "No," she cried. "He helped me." The little girl's voice was firm despite the tears still on her cheeks. Sophia gently brushed Lily's hair away from her face. "Sweetheart, what happened?" "I got scared when everyone started yelling," Lily whispered. "I couldn't find you. Then I saw a little boy sitting by himself. He smiled at me and shared his cookie." The young boy standing beside the stranger looked down shyly. "My name is Ethan," he said softly. Lily smiled through her tears. "Ethan told me not to be afraid." Sophia looked back at the man. He extended his hand politely. "I'm Jake Morrison." She shook it. "Sophia Carter." Jake nodded as though her name meant nothing. Unlike everyone else at the fundraiser, he didn't seem impressed by her wealth or reputation. "My son and I were invited by the Veterans Foundation," Jake explained. "I served in the Navy SEALs for 12 years. Sophia noticed several old scars on his hands and one faint scar running along his jawline. They weren't signs of carelessness. They were reminders of sacrifices made long ago. "What happened after Lily found Ethan?" Sophia asked. Jake glanced at the children. They were talking when that lighting tower crashed. Ethan wasn't frightened, but Lily panicked. She looked around for someone she trusted. Sophia frowned. "But she'd never met you." Jake smiled gently. Children notice things adults often miss. They don't judge titles or appearances. They judge whether someone feels safe. Those simple words stayed with Sophia. As the crowd slowly returned to the fundraiser, the children wandered toward a nearby bench to feed ducks by the lake. Lily and Ethan laughed together as though they had been friends for years. Sophia watched them carefully. "I owe you an apology," she admitted. "For a moment, I assumed the worst." Jake nodded. "If I were in your position, I probably would have done the same." His answer surprised her. There was no bitterness in his voice. During the next hour, they spoke while the children played nearby. Jake shared that after leaving the military, he had struggled to adjust to civilian life. His wife had become seriously ill and passed away 2 years earlier, leaving him to raise Ethan alone. "It hasn't been easy," he admitted. "But Ethan reminds me every day why I have to keep moving forward." Sophia felt a lump form in her throat. Despite having billions of dollars, she realized she had never faced the kind of loss Jake carried with quiet dignity. When the charity organizer approached the stage later that afternoon, he announced an award recognizing veterans who continued serving their communities. Today's Community Courage Award goes to Jake Morrison. The audience erupted into applause. Jake looked genuinely surprised as he walked onto the stage. The organizer smiled. Since leaving military service, Jake has volunteered thousands of hours mentoring struggling veterans, coaching children, and helping military families rebuild their lives. He has never asked for recognition. Sophia stood and applauded louder than anyone. She finally understood why Lily had trusted him. His strength wasn't loud. It was steady. His courage wasn't about medals. It was about kindness. After the ceremony, Sophia approached Jake with a thoughtful expression. "My company funds several veteran support programs," she said. "I'd like to expand them, but I don't want another publicity campaign. I want someone who truly understands what families need." Jake looked at her curiously. "What are you asking?" "I'm asking if you'll help lead the foundation." Jake remained silent for several seconds. Finally, he smiled. "I'll accept. But only if every dollar goes where it's needed most." Sophia laughed softly. "I wouldn't have it any other way." Months later, their foundation had opened new counseling centers, education programs, and emergency housing for hundreds of military families. Jake became the trusted leader of the organization. Sophia became one of its strongest supporters. Meanwhile, Lily and Ethan became inseparable friends, spending weekends together, laughing, learning, and reminding the adults that trust can begin with the simplest acts of kindness. Looking back, Sophia often thought about that terrifying afternoon. She had arrived believing success was measured by wealth, influence, and achievement. She left understanding something far more valuable. Real strength isn't found in bank accounts. Real heroes don't always wear uniforms. Sometimes, they stand quietly in the background, expecting nothing in return, until a frightened child instinctively runs into their arms. And in that single unforgettable moment, a billionaire mother discovered that the richest heart she had ever met belonged to a humble single father who had already given so much to others.